Hello there, YouTube. This is Zoo Tycooner Steve, and welcome back to episode 5 for Let's Play Zoo. Today we are going to be putting in what I believe is the most hand-down, overwhelmingly requested animal I've ever done when I've done a subscriber zoo, and that is Aardvarks. For some reason, there is just an overwhelming outpouring of people screaming, raving, rather like madmen for Aardvarks. So here we go. We are going to definitely be putting an Aardvark display here, and I think this was the area people wanted it to, kind of immediately to the immediately to the east of our African veldt display, kind of in this side here. And so we'll go ahead and get this done. The idea being here, I actually kind of changed my idea right away. You can see originally I was putting up those sort of faux cave entrances to kind of make it look like this was an underground display. The idea being is that I wanted to make it, since Aardvarks are burrowing creatures, and I've seen other displays kind of similar to this one that I thought were really cool, so I figured I'd do my own version of it. But the idea is we're going to have sort of this outside looking area where the Aardvarks are walking around, but then we're also going to have a top viewing area where you can look down into the Aardvark burrows, which I swear it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense yet, it will make sense before the end. So that's what we're going for today. And the first thing I did was, I thought maybe I would try using some of these rock displays. These rock these rock fences, I find kind of to be hit and miss. The problem with them is, well, the good thing about them, let's start with the positive. The good thing about them is that they do look really good, and they are really useful for like blending in displays and making it look like the background. The problem is they're much thicker than an average fence, so they do kind of have a problem where they'll like leak through areas. So eventually I did abandon that, and I decided to just kind of put in a wooden fence here. The idea is we're kind of putting in these two burrows and like tunnels that the Aardvark would have to go through. And of course we're going to put in an entrance for our zookeeper as well here in a little zookeeper room. And we'll just go down here, put in some food up front. Just so we'll have, basically the idea is burrows in the underground part, and then in the front part we'll have the food, which will encourage the animals to go in and outside of the tunnel system we're going to create for them. And now we'll go ahead and use these guys here just as the actual termite mounds that are in the Zoo Tycoon are not very good looking. So fortunately we have that little plant cover that we can throw over them and it still remains functional. And then we'll go ahead and add some rocky rocks here. I thought about putting in these same rocks that we used to kind of do the background of our giraffe display last time, but rather like those rock fences, they're just a little too thick, a little too tall for what I was going for. So eventually what I decided to do was just go ahead and grab some of these backgrounds here, which should, I think, serve us very well. Is a little bit of a problem with hitboxes. If you're going to use these things, just know that sometimes animals can't walk through that area if you put them up. Now, I tested it a little bit, and I made sure that indeed our Aardvarks would be able to walk around if we had these areas. I just had to leave enough room for them, which I did here, so no problem. Still, you'll see that, well, hopefully you'll see when we do the final walkthrough, that they're just going to be able to walk in and out of those fences for no reason. And at this point I figured I would have everything covered. You're going to see here in a second that I thought better of this, fortunately for us and our Aardvarks. I kind of came to the realization that instead of making everything one giant tunnel, I was going to turn this front area into sort of more of an open place, as if they could sort of leave their tunnels, come out, feed on their termite mounds, and then go back into the tunnels, which was more like what Aardvarks would actually do. So it both looks a little better, and I think it's just a little more interesting to look at too. So I think that was a good idea to switch it up there. So that is what we are going to be doing now. And just building these up now to a nice height of 3. Alright. And then I'm going to use the 3 high backgrounds for like the internal tunnel system, but for that wall that's sticking out to the outside of the area, I'm only going to do a 2 and leave a little bit of the sort of wooden part of the fence visible from that. Just, I think that's just I think it's just a stylistic choice. I'm trying to justify it, and the only thing I can say is that that's what looks good to me. So if you hate it or don't like it, I will switch it up. But to me, that's a pretty good, attractive look. And I went back and forth on what kind of fence is here. I actually really like this low chain link fence with the little rock on the bottom. Ultimately, I'm going to end up abandoning it here just because we haven't used that at all in this sort of African area of our zoo. And so I figured it would be a little kind of crazy to all of a sudden have this pop up. So what I ended up ultimately doing here is I remember that with this lighter fence I actually have a tank wall which more or less matches it. And that's what I went with after a few, as you can see, redacted choices here. I just couldn't find anything that was really 100% what I was going for. So, that one looked good, but that one wasn't the same height quite as level 2. So ultimately here we're going to go with this tank wall. And I actually really like this tank wall. It's the same sort of color of dividers in between all the glass panels. And I think that works really, really well. So never forget that if you're at a loss, you can always go back to tanks or something else to sort of artificially create a fence. Just a good little pro tip to keep in mind. But now we'll move on to building up the top part of our display here. And so we're just going to completely cover this area, and then we're going to put in some glass elevated paths over the actual tunnel system, so that way you can go up, look down into sort of the underground life of the Aardvarks. And then I just extended this out here. Not that I'm planning on using this little extension for anything, it's just to make it so it looks more even, so that you'll have those extra 2 panels, or extra 2, I don't know what we call the measurement, extra 2 units of fence going around. And so that is the basic idea. We're going to do a little bit of tweaking here. Ultimately, a problem with using this lighter wooden panel fence is that I found out I did not have any railings that matched it exactly. So ultimately I just kind of left these open instead of trying to hang something in there that didn't look quite right. But if anybody knows if there are elevated path railings that match that, please let me know. Leave a comment below, just kind of add it in, and I will go back and edit those into the next episode. And here we go here. Now my original plan was to have sort of 2 extensions, but because the path does change, I decided that the actual better way to do this was to just kind of make this a double wide pathway going up here on the left hand side. And that way we can just go up and in. And we'll put a glass railing on the front, so that way if you're on the upper area you can still look down into the outside area our Aardvarks might be in. After all, we don't want to block off a view if it's not necessary. And we'll go ahead now and just kind of add this glass in. And I'm actually making a mistake here. I don't think I'm going to show you when I'm changed up the mistake, but just future note, you actually can't walk on the glass railing. As far as the game is concerned, even though it visually shows something there, it thinks that no pathway exists, so it won't let you walk on it. So what you do need to do is have a connected path. So what ultimately I'm going to do, you'll see in the final walkthrough when we go through it, is I'm going to make it so that the sort of front row there, right up against where the outside display is, I'm going to leave that as a solid, completely dark wooden fence instead of any glass there. So you aren't going to be able to see that actual quite beginning entrance to the tunnels, which is a little unfortunate, but it's also going to make it so that this is actually functional, because unfortunately the coding just does not allow you to walk on that glass or invisible paths or anything like that. So it's a little tear, but you'll get to see it here in the construction, how I would have liked it to look, and you'll also get to see how I was able to make it look, and that's part about being a good part of being a good zoo tycooner is learning to make the best of the game. That's, after all, part of the challenge of the game. It's what makes it so super awesome, special, fun time, fun, awesome, super special, awesome, fun. Also, a good idea to keep in mind as a zoo tycooner is that try not to do things that erase the railings that you've already put in, because it's really, really annoying to have to continually put the railings back in. Not that I'm salty about it or anything, and not that I would make that mistake myself, but just a pro tip for you. And now the reason why I never really use these light wooden fences, they're actually, I think they look great, but for some reason I don't have a complete set. I don't know if it's because a complete set doesn't exist or what, but I don't have like the 1 to 2 height, and I don't have the little one, so we're going to have to do a little bit of mix and matching here. But I actually think that's okay in this particular display. Particularly since I can pretty much hide anything I don't want the guest to look directly at, so not going to go nuts over it at this point at least. I will go ahead and put in a set of stairs here, and I think I'm going to leave it as one side stairs and one side ramp, just to help our handy-capable guest. Throw a couple of benches up here, like so. And now it's start time to get into the flora and fauna of the thing. And I don't want to do it too many trees, but I think there's those little quiver trees that I love so much. And then we'll go straight into the grasses. Again, trying to keep with grasses that it would actually encounter in their natural scrubby habitat there. Kind of this brushman grass, I'm kind of blurring the lines a little bit with that, but it's okay, I'm going to live with it. And now we'll put in some rocky rocks. But not some non-rocky rocks, only the truly rocky rocks. You know what I'm saying. You got it. You're hip. You're cool. I mean, you watch my channel, so you must be pretty cool. Very good. I'll find a couple. There we go. That's about the height I'm looking for here. Just place those around a little bit. After all, we are putting in sort of a tunnely cave system, so make it look a little bit like rocks. And we'll see if we can't decorate the outside a little bit too by putting in some of these date palms, help tie it in with the rest of this area. I'll leave a little area here that I can fit the palms in. Right there, nope. Can we sneak an umbrella tree in there? I don't think it works because it leans over this side. Yep, so nope, no umbrella tree. We'll have to get a little more creative there. Let's do this. Okay, quick cut there, sorry about that. But we should be right back. Let's start throwing down some grasses. And nothing really matches up, so I'm going to call an audible here and throw in some of this dry savanna grass, which looks pretty good. I just haven't used it yet too much. I think it used a little bit in the African veldt, so it's not completely crazy, but we'll fill in this area with some more rocky rocks. Look pretty good, something like that. And maybe throw in a tree or two, going up around the rocks, that's great. And just to give it a little more interest, we'll put in some tall grass behind there. Fill in this area with the medium dry savanna grass. It's interesting that this is dry savanna grass, and yet it turns the biome into like grassland or something like that. It turns it green at the very least. Don't want that too much. Now I'll go ahead and put some actual benches in here and here. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Moving along just fine. And I don't see my donation boxes that I like. Oh, I must have accidentally taken that mod out. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going here. That's okay. Well, just remember to put them in next time. We're gonna go ahead and frame this a little bit with our umbrella trees, make it look more part of the whole African area we've got going on here. And now I think it's time to actually, let's actually put in something for our zookeepers here. Make it look like they actually have a room. Real quick, some office supplies, couple of chairs, leaving a computer so they can play some solitaire, magnifying glass if they have to do any work, throw in another table to kind of make that area delineated. That's pretty good. Now let's start throwing in our aardvarks. Alright, welcome back. Here is our final walkthrough. So obviously, if you continue down the path to the right there, you will go to see our giraffe display. Now we have this beautiful aardvark display right in front. There's one kind of sleeping there in the grass. How you doing, Mr. Aardvark? What's up? Are you going in your tunnels, or nope, you're laying back down? Okay, interesting. But it looks like there's more over here on this side. So, that's a good view of one. right there at the Termite Mound. That one's kind of laying in the grass too. Kind of lazy guys, aren't they? Yeah, they like hiding in those bushes there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think our outside area here turned out pretty well. Let's see what happens when we go upstairs. Going right up the... Oh, okay, up here. Putting some palm trees in the back. And you can see, like I was talking earlier, I've gone ahead and just left this front railing regular wood so we can walk completely across it. And there's a little pathway to benches. But you can see we can stare down into the caves. And you can see there was one burrowing there in the entrance. He hasn't walked any further in yet, so I don't see any ones that have made it to the burrows. Let's go and see if anyone came into that third little entrance area. I don't think so, if I counted right. No, it looks like they're not playing with that toy I put there yet. Oh, but there he goes. He's in the actual tunnels now, so very good. It looks like our display is actually working. And let's see if we can peek over the ledge here and spot any in our outside area. Yep, you can see the outside area from up here too. So it looks like all of our viewing areas are working, and this display came out pretty much how I was hoping. So I actually really like it, and I hope you do too. If you do like it, be sure to like it in the comments below. If you don't like it, be sure to leave a comment and tell me what I can do to improve it. And of course, this is a subscriber zoo, which means you're going to, as soon as this is up and posted, you can go ahead and begin voting for the next exhibit. To vote, just leave a comment below. Voting will go on for 3 days after I post this. Whichever animal has the most postings gets to win. We'll probably be building in this area, would be my guess. Particularly if we vote in another African animal. This seems like the perfect area for it. Of course, you don't have to vote in an African animal. You can vote in anything you want. I'm going to tweak that area there. Because we've got not only this room up here to the north, but all this area out here that we can fit any animal from anywhere in the world you want. Just go ahead, like I said, leave a comment below to vote. And that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. This is Tycoon or Steve saying, well, bye.